Archduke Franz Ferdinand. Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the Austro-Hungarian Empire, was assassinated by members of the Black Hand, a radical Serbian nationalist group, in the Balkans. Austria-Hungary blamed Serbia but feared Russian intervention, so they sought support from Germany. Germany's Kaiser William II gave them a blank check, promising full support. Backed by Germany, Austria-Hungary issued harsh demands to Serbia, expecting refusal. When Serbia didn't fully comply, Austria-Hungary declared war, triggering a chain reaction among alliances that led to World War I. Blank check. The blank check was Germany's pledge of unconditional support to Austria-Hungary after Archduke Franz Ferdinand's assassination. Fearing Russian involvement if they moved against Serbia, Austria-Hungary asked Germany for backing. Kaiser William II, eager for conflict, promised full support, no matter what. Germany even encouraged Austria-Hungary to issue extreme demands to Serbia, which they expected Serbia to reject. This emboldened Austria-Hungary to declare war, triggering World War I. Historians often see the blank check as a key short-term cause of the war and a sign of German responsibility for the escalation. Schlieffen Plan. The Schlieffen Plan was Germany's strategy to avoid a two-front war after France and Russia allied in 1891. The idea was to quickly defeat France in the west by invading through Belgium and capturing Paris, then shift forces east to fight Russia, which was expected to mobilize slowly. However, the plan failed. Britain entered the war to defend Belgium, and France resisted more strongly than expected. Germany was forced into a prolonged war on both fronts with no backup plan. The Western Front soon became a stalemate of trench warfare, shaping the brutal nature of World War I. Zimmermann Telegram. The Zimmermann Telegram was a secret message sent by Germany to Mexico in 1917, proposing a military alliance if the U.S. entered World War I. Germany promised financial support and help in reclaiming Texas, New Mexico, and Arizona. This was part of Germany's plan to distract the U.S. while it launched unrestricted submarine warfare against Allied ships. The British intercepted and decoded the telegram, then shared it with the U.S., sparking public outrage. Combined with German U-boat attacks on American ships, it helped push the U.S. to declare war on Germany in April 1917. Though Mexico declined the offer, the telegram became a key reason for the U.S. joining the war to make the world safe for democracy. Attrition. Attrition in World War I refers to the brutal strategy of wearing down the enemy through continuous losses in soldiers, supplies, and morale. With no major technological edge on either side, the war, especially on the Western Front, turned into a long, static struggle marked by trench warfare and massive casualties. Battles like the Somme showed how thousands could die for just a few yards of land. There was no better strategy. Frontal assaults across no man's land were often the only option. The war also drained civilian populations, as total war demanded rationing, labor from women, and national endurance. Ultimately, it wasn't just battlefield losses but home front collapse, like starvation in Germany, that led to the war's end. Attrition defined World War I as a slow, grinding fight to see who could last the longest. Trench poets. Trench poets were mainly British soldiers who wrote poetry based on their first-hand experiences in World War I. Their work stood in sharp contrast to the idealized propaganda of the time, offering a realistic, bleak, and often horrifying view of the war. They described the brutality of trench warfare, the fear and suffering, and the psychological damage soldiers endured. There was no glory or glamour in their verses, just the grim truth of charging through no man's land into machine gun fire. Their poems served as a counter-narrative to public messages about honor and duty, showing war as something devastating, not heroic. As one source joked, the term trench poets simply refers to poets in trenches, but their work left a lasting impression on how we remember World War I. Rasputin. Rasputin was a controversial Russian monk who gained influence over Tsar Nicholas II and Tsarina Alexandra by claiming he could heal their son Alexei's hemophilia. Charismatic but strange, he was seen as a kooky mystic and disliked by many. His close ties to the royal family, along with rumors of scandal, damaged public trust. Nobles eventually assassinated him after several dramatic attempts. His influence symbolized the instability of the Russian monarchy and contributed to its fall during World War I. Alexander Kerensky and the Provisional Government. Alexander Kerensky led the provisional government in Russia after Tsar Nicholas II abdicated in March 1917. The government aimed for liberal reforms, like free speech and democratic elections, and was supported by the middle class and nobility. However, it inherited major problems, including food shortages, poor performance in World War I, and public distrust. Key mistakes included staying in World War I and focusing on long-term reforms instead of addressing immediate needs like hunger. A rival group, the Petrograd Soviet, gained popular support with promises of peace, land, and bread. This led to the Soviets' Bolshevik takeover in November 1917, and Kerensky fled the country. The provisional government's failure to resolve Russia's issues led to its collapse. Soviet. The Soviet, particularly the Petrograd Soviet, played a crucial role in the 1917 Russian revolutions as a rival to the provisional government. The Soviet was a commune of workers, farmers, and soldiers, with its symbols of the sickle, hammer, and star representing these key groups. The Petrograd Soviet, located at the center of Russian power, claimed to be the true government of the people, positioning itself as a more legitimate authority than the provisional government, which was primarily supported by the middle class and nobility. The Soviets gained significant influence, especially under the leadership of Lenin and the Bolsheviks. They resonated with the masses through their powerful slogan of peace, land, and bread, which directly addressed the immediate needs of the soldiers, farmers, and workers suffering from the ongoing war and food shortages. By November 1917, the failure of the provisional government to address these critical issues led to the Bolshevik-led Petrograd Soviet easily overthrowing it. This marked the beginning of a new political era in Russia, with the Soviet Union becoming the driving force behind the Second Russian Revolution and the establishment of a new government. Vladimir Lenin and the Bolsheviks. Vladimir Lenin and the Bolsheviks were central to the Second Russian Revolution of 1917, leading the overthrow of the provisional government. Lenin, a lifelong socialist, developed his own ideology known as Leninism, which differed from Karl Marx's theory. While Marx believed that the working class would rise up and overthrow the bourgeoisie on their own, Lenin argued that a small, dedicated group of professional revolutionaries, like the Bolsheviks, was needed to seize power on behalf of the people. Lenin also believed that once the revolution was achieved, the Bolsheviks would step aside to allow a socialist society to emerge, though this idea ultimately proved unlikely. The Bolsheviks, led by Lenin, gained control of the Petrograd Soviet, which had emerged as a rival to the provisional government. Lenin's return to Russia, facilitated by the Germans, was part of their strategy to create chaos and encourage Russia to exit World War I. The Bolsheviks promised peace, land, and bread, a slogan that resonated deeply with the soldiers, farmers, and workers who were disillusioned by the ongoing war and food shortages. By November 1917, the provisional government, under Alexander Kerensky, failed to address Russia's most pressing issues, and the Bolsheviks easily overthrew it. Following their victory, they transformed Russia into the USSR, executed the Romanovs, withdrew from World War I, nationalized key industries, and redistributed land to the peasants. Lenin's death in the 1920s led to the preservation of his body in Moscow, symbolizing his lasting influence on Soviet Russia.